Hello world. What if the Elder Scrolls 6's Mage Guild was actually very, very similar to what we have in Skyrim? And I know a lot of people do not like the College of Winterhold. There's a lot of problems with it. I want to do some coverage a little bit on the individual quests in there at some point in time, but I see where it comes from. The main storyline is very, very forced and rushed, and you become archmage like that, and it doesn't feel earned. And there's really no semblance of like actual lessons in the university. There's no semblance of like, anything like that. You're just kind of given a room and then you're off to the actual main storyline. There's like one lesson in the beginning of the quest line. That's it. And even so, there wasn't a lot of actions, a lot of problems with it. But I think the potential of the university setting for a Mage Guild is so, so, so amazing. And I think it should be capitalized on. And I would feel really bad if in Elder Scrolls 6, they ditched the university idea with the College of Winterhold and they went back to a traditional Mage Guild type setting. And I know that, the Mage Guild probably fits better lore-wise into these other places, and it kind of fits with the College of Winterhold that's already pre-established in there. But, I think there's so much potential, and here's the reason why. I did a video a while ago, a short. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description for it. And I talked about this idea of what if spell learning was actually earned? What if when we learned a spell, we didn't just learn a little like key slot to our keyboard that allowed us to choose another like weapon, right? Like it felt very like battlefieldy when that happened. Like when I learned Firebolt, or whatever, or Fireball, I wanted to have a journey to do that and to learn that skill and actually have my character go through something that was hard to do that, not just how much gold do you have in your inventory. Like that felt wrong to me. So when I went and did that short video, I talked about what if it was earned? What if you earned it through books? What if the Arcanium or the library in that college was actually the place where you had to find a book on a certain item, you had to read the book, and there was something you had to do, some kind of, whether it be experiment, something out of like the sciences in real life, or do something that made it difficult to actually learn spells, and as you went up in rank, the harder it was to replicate. To the point that, your character can go through a journey of, okay, I want to learn a higher level fire spell, something offensive. So I'm going to go to the offensive section of the library that has these very interesting books, kind of Harry Potter style. When you go through and you're trying to find the book on it, you don't know what it is, you start going through books and you start reading, and the text in those books need to be like so interesting to the point where, it kind of like gears your reading, so that like, okay, like this book talked about a fire spell that allowed me to have AoE damage, but say it in a very lore friendly way. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, it says it was called this writer talked about it, so you go to that writer, or you can make the librarian kind of like a search engine system kind of thing where you ask the librarian, this is what I'm looking for, here it is. This is a very advanced systems, I know, and by all means I'm not a game creator, at least not yet. But it's just very interesting to me, that concept. And then when you go and do it, you read it, and you're given some kind of task, some kind of experiment to do to get yourself to do that. We saw that in Giargo's quest when he's doing that Fire Cloak scroll, where that might be a new spell. That was interesting, right? Because he's actually doing his own experiments. I think that's very, very interesting there. And that would lean more, at least in the spell part of it, that would lean so much more into the actual university side of it. But that was covered in my short. I should link it in the description if I remember. But now I want to focus on the actual storyline piece of it. Like what if it was actually good? What if it actually leaned into it? If I haven't said it already, I'm a full-time MBA student right now, full disclosure, and I'm applying to PhD programs at the moment. So and I have a bachelor's degree. So I'm in that space, and I've been there, done that in terms of the progression of what these things are in university. And I think if it emulated it more, it would be a lot more interesting. Because what makes university interesting is not the overall narrative. Like getting the degree, like getting like that line is not the interesting part of academia. The interesting is the progression and the journey personally that you go on. It's a journey of self-discovery. You go through, you start in academia not knowing exactly what you want to do, but having an idea, and you just go on that. And the people that you meet and the individuals that you work with, very much bring you to where you're kind of meant to be. And so, why isn't that the core crux of the College of Winterhold? Why isn't it character focused? Like, well, why does it have to be this huge narrative about this giant orb of power and all this stuff? When dungeon diving, like, why was the first quest like a dungeon crawl? Like that doesn't make sense. Like in university, it should be went to this lesson. There was a problem with the instructor, kind of Persona 5 style. There was a problem with the instructor. Something happens, and you and the other students come together and actually form character bonds. Like you would have the opportunity to have to be the most character-driven storyline in Skyrim, because a lot of it's dungeon crawling and these fights and very world-based stuff, and not really individual character stuff as much. So like this could have been the opportunity, and you can go through and including that spell learning idea from my short I had, to be able to have, if you choose to go with certain characters, like let's say this one character is more conjuration based, you can do experiments in conjuration with that person and learn some like very unique spells in conjuration if you hadn't done that, if you just went through books, right? Because in theory, the idea that you don't learn everything from a book, should be utilized. And if you and whatever, and the professors definitely need to have a larger role. It's sad when I was playing like the College of Winterhold so many times, and all the professors are vendors. That's all they are. So, if their role was expanded, like in real life, if I try to have a relationship with a professor, it is A, because I'm really interested in what they're researching, or B, if it's because I'm really interested in the content that they're teaching. So when I build that relationship, I have the opportunity to have a deeper sense of learning by having that relationship. So if I decide to have a deeper relationship and help out the restoration person, then I really should have the ability to gain spells that otherwise you wouldn't be able to. And I understand that the master level spells have these quests that you have to go on and whatever. The one I've done the most is the destruction one, where you have to take the book to certain places and do spells on whatever. It's pretty cool. I really like that. More of that would have been interesting. But instead of it just being the professor being the quest giver, why wasn't that the culmination of all this time being with that one professor, and that's your unique story in the College of Winterhold? And it's so interesting. So if we focused on character-driven things and emulated the university experience, giving yourself the ability to have a degree in conjuration, which then could be a master's level and then a PhD level in conjuration, and include new and interesting spells within that, you can have this progression that's so unique to a character, and the role-playing potential will be amazing if you have the opportunity to actually specialize and do it all based through the characters and eliminate the main storyline in the College of Winterhold. If you emulate the university more, I think it would be so much more interesting. But what do y'all think? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to do a little bit more longer form stuff as in conjunction with our shorts show. So let me know in the comments down below what you think, and I will see you all next time.